I think somebody asked us, I think our first year in the UK when we had our anniversary. Our anniversary's in May, so that was, we had landed in October, and so that we came around to May, and some of our friends at the time congratulated us on our anniversary and asked us, what has been the best year of your marriage? And I immediately said, this one. And it shocked them at the time, because in that, less than a year that they'd known us, we'd been incredibly sick. I'd had the flu like 4 or 5 times. We'd gotten pregnant, had a miscarriage, and then I was pregnant again. We'd gotten mold in the house. Like, we just had, it was like, circumstantially, it was like one of the worst years that we'd probably had. But my gut response to that question was, this year has been the best year of our marriage, because we had no choice but to cling to each other, and that became an incredibly enriching element. That element came out in our marriage of, we have to do this together. We have to cling to each other. You are also the only person that understands the struggle and the joys, and whatever the circumstance was, we had to do that together. And that, I think, for our marriage was incredibly bonding and enriching, despite all that had happened in that year.
100%. And I would say that even the years just prior to heading to the field, we had worked opposite shift schedules at work, and then when we went into full-time support raising, we started living with family, either my family or your family, and so that's great, and a huge gift to us to be able to do that. But then you don't have that like privacy as like a married couple, to just be and talk, and so this heading to the mission field, and now like having been there for a season from a fall to a spring, was like the first time we were actually had considerable amount of time together, but also we weren't living in another person's space. So it was like, in some ways it felt like we were newlyweds. We have so much time together to talk and to process and to learn to just be together, but also because we were going through such a formative season of living cross-culturally, we had so much to discuss about, like, I had this weird experience today, and I don't know, it was a weird interaction with somebody, and help me understand. And then, we're just talking through all the things that we were learning and processing. And it really did like shape us and grew us together in a new way, in a beautiful way. And then having kids on top of it in our time, serving in the UK, that adds a whole nother level of being parents and parenting together, and how are we going to parent these kids, and it's been amazing, and thankfully, like I think that it's really God has used our relationship and then our relationship with our kids in amazing ways while we were on the mission field, because you especially would get so many questions about parenting and why we do the things that we do as parents, and you were able to use that as a way to talk about, I do this because I follow Jesus, or I do this because I think there's wisdom in this, and I'm kind of trying to bring it back to the gospel. But lots of conversations that you would have with like new moms and stuff about our family and our kids.
Yeah.
So
simply having children, as anybody knows, opens loads of doors for ministry. But I think specifically in the UK, it gave me a unique advantage to have more conversations that I would have never had I not had a baby in my lap. It was like the golden ticket to like cross-cultural, like to break across a cultural norm. I was then allowed to do a lot of things that culturally you would never do, but for the simple reason that I had a baby in my my lap or my arms, gave me that golden ticket to speak into loads of areas that you would never get. And so that was a huge blessing for us to see the Lord use that to expand the ministry that I never knew I had or wanted.
It's really cool to see your kids, like the unique personalities that each child has. And so Eliana has always been really outgoing, really just loves anyone that she meets. In fact, anytime we go to a church to visit a church, or she's like, do they have a Sunday school? Because just drop me off and walk away. Like, I just want to go to Sunday school. And then, or if we go and visit with people at their house or grab coffee or something, she's like, Mom, Dad, what are their names? Do they have kids? And do they have toys? And she loves people. She's very outgoing, and she's very flexible. She's got a very flexible personality. Theo has always been our reserved child, he takes after me, I think, kind of more quiet, reserved, kind of waits till he feels comfortable with people, and then he really opens up. And so, but he's coming more out of his box every day. And now that he's like, I think maybe hit a growth spurt or a developmental period where he's like talking nonstop now. And you see his personality coming out a lot more. They don't know any different. They're very it's funny because when we travel, if we have to take a flight, like we did visit Spain this last year for 3 weeks, and Eliana was upset because she loved the flight, but then a couple weeks later we flew for another thing that we had to do, and she was upset because it was only 2 plane rides that we had to take to get to our destination and not 3. So she's like, airports are fine, airplanes are great, I love people, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we've been very blessed to have kids that are very eager and willing to just meet new people all the time, because that can be overwhelming for an adult, let alone a child, to be like, here's more people. And we've so far just seen them really adapt and embrace, here's more friends, here's more people, and just go with the flow. I think that Eliana craves that on some level. She's an extrovert, and Theo is like, as long as Mom is there, I'll be okay. And we'll just kind of see how that develops, because their experience of life is going to be very unique. They're going to be, kids of travel, kids of different language, kids of different, their friends are going to look different than an average American child will look. Their experiences of school, everything will be different. And so far we've just been really thankful and blessed that they've seemingly embraced a lot of that, and we're just thankful.